Hello, good people. Hello, and welcome back to another car conversation. I wanted to talk to you about staying 10 steps ahead. I've referenced and I've talked about before how I was in an extremely abusive relationship on all levels for 8 years. Been a long time, but I still remember every minute of it. And what I connect from that period of time to what we're dealing with now, because I've said repeatedly, we are in a relationship. Our government is like being in a relationship, in an abusive relationship. I've said this repeatedly. The same kind of dynamics you see in an abusive relationship, like constantly throwing shit at you to where you can't even make sense of what's going on from day to day, what your life looks like, should be like, what's really going on. Like you can't decipher or make a decision about anything because you're just in life sustaining mode the entire time. You're like in fight or flight all the time, which is how we are in this country right now. So I was thinking about, what did I do to survive that moment? What were some key things that I can connect to what we're living through now that helped me to survive the 8 years I survived with my ex? And trust me, that was a survival of the fittest test on a day-to-day basis, whether it was psychological, physical, emotional, financial. He tested all the boundaries and all the limits, okay? So I was thinking about that, and I was also thinking about this next protest that's coming up on April 19th. For those of you that didn't know, now you know. There's another protest that's coming up on April 19th, and I said to myself, what can we do to layer this protest? Like we've got to get to a point where we're 10 steps ahead, that we're doing things. We got to be more proactive versus reactive. Like we're just reacting to everything that Felon 47, his regime, Heritage Foundation, Peter Thiel, Leonard Leo's of the world. Like we're just reacting to everything that they're throwing at us. We need to get into a position where we're proactive, where we're staying 10 steps ahead. And what I had to do was look at my ex's patterns, predict the patterns, and do something in advance to prevent him from taking the course that he wants to take. And that's what we need to do as Americans. So I'm saying all this to say the April 19th protests, great, wonderful. They're hoping that more people show up in this protest. I'm going to say we're all hoping that more people take to the streets, but it has to be nuanced. We have to make it layered. We have to add some more power behind what we're doing in regards to the protest. So what could that look like? What might that look like? Might that look like the Wednesday before, or on that Monday, like we all go withdraw all our money from big banks, if you still have money in big banks? That can make an impact. That's something that would register not only in the stock markets, but that would register with all the billionaires and their buddies that are in DC that are siphoning off and stealing from us. They're literally stealing from the government right now, which is us. That's our money. So what can we do? Is it the big banks shut down? Not shut down, but we shut down. We close our accounts at big banks. Does that look like us not going to work for a week, where they're like, where the fuck are the people? Where the fuck is the labor? How are we going to continue to keep this machine going if the people aren't showing up at work? And then boom, we're in the streets, but we're in the streets at a protest. Like we have to get to a point where we're being proactive. We get ahead of these folks and ahead of their actions. And again, I know this is difficult because Felon 47's mind is a crazy thing. However, something I've said about him from the beginning, he will always tell you what he's going to do. Always tell you what he's thinking about. And every accusation these people make is a confession. It is what they are doing. It is what they are preparing to do. So if you saw, like, Peter Navarro was on, I want to say he was on CNN this past week. He was asked, hey, this looks like you all are, messing with the markets. This looks like some insider trading. Is that what you're doing? You're manipulating the markets. And Peter Navarro, oh, no, that's not what we're doing. But that was what Nancy Pelosi was doing. That's what Democrats were doing. So every time that they try to turn the tables and they try to switch the narrative and point your attention in a different direction, understand that is what they're doing. That is clearly what they're doing. So we have got to get a point to where we're reading their messaging better. People in high places, you got to get better at reading their messaging. And then people on the ground. Like, that's how we can organize better, if we can predict where they're going, what they're going to do, what their next move is. We got to get ahead of the narrative that they're going to try to spin. We got to get ahead of the story, the next big thing that they're going to try to do to us. We've got to get ahead of all of that. And if that means, hold on, I'm looking at the time here because I don't want this to be too long. If that means that we the American people, tank the economy to let them know who's actually in charge, then so be it. That's what we need to do. If that means that nobody in America is going to work and providing any labor for any corporation, so they feel the pain and they run and they call Felon 47 and say, hey, look, the people are not playing. They're not showing up. Then that's what we got to do. But it's got to be more than protesting, because apparently they're not afraid of the large numbers yet, because literally after the hands-off protest, you saw Felon 47 pivot to this whole, increasing the tariff shit. So we got to be more strategic. We've got to think of this regime as an abusive relationship. And how you survive abusive relationships is you got to get ahead of your opponent. You got to always be thinking. It's exhausting, but you got to always be thinking, what the hell are they trying to bring to you? You got to get them before they get you. And trust me on this, it's the only way I survived. It's the only thing that got me through damn near 20 years of in and out in court with this motherfucker, is I had to stay 10 steps ahead. I had to be in court, and when his team said some shit, when his current wife, which is now his attorney, said some shit, I had to get in the ear of my attorney and say, hey, this is where he's going with this. I've seen this before. This is what he's trying to do. Throw this out there. Where's that paperwork? Where's that document? Where's that affidavit that was signed from his previous attorney? Like, you have to stay 10 steps ahead of the narcissistic, sociopathic person, because their number one goal is to manipulate you, to lie to you, to take advantage of you. And you got to get them before they get you. That's what we have to do, America. We are in an abusive relationship with Felon 47 and his regime, and we got to get ahead of all the bullshit that they're trying to bring our way.